position in the first place. Well, all right. So against all odds, Diddy managed to escape his major charges. Out of 5 counts, he was only found guilty for 2.
That's
Now,
right.
first things first, how did Diddy get in this position in the first place? Well, for those of you that don't know, Diddy has been in the eyes of the law for decades. There has been rumors floating around about Diddy for a long time, whether it be Tupac, whether it be Biggie getting, whether it be Kid Cudi's car getting blown up, whether it be Cassie, all these rumors around him have been floating around for a long time, right? But it seems like the feds, the people investigating him, just needed a spark. And that spark came in the way of Cassie, Diddy's ex-girlfriend. She sued Diddy for like 20 million. Let me double check. Yes, it was indeed 20 million. Now, Cassie is so important to this whole case is because she's kind of like the anchor to the case. Like we said, there's rumors floating around. Diddy did this, Diddy did that for decades, but these are only rumors. So the feds busting down his door and locking him up.
Wait, I ain't pause the video. You think you think Diddy did it, bro? I don't think Diddy did it, bro. I don't even think Diddy did it, bro. Nigga ain't do a thing, bro. Nigga may have did it. I ain't gonna lie. Nah, nigga did it. Nigga did it. Nigga for sure beat Cassie. Nigga for sure beat Cassie. But like human trafficking, I think the nigga was just a freak, and like he done got over freaked out, thinking everybody was over freaked out with him and scared people, bro. I think that's all that happened, bro. I don't think that nigga meant no harm.
For rumors, it's not a good look for the feds. So they needed something to come out big against Diddy. Cassie suing him for 20 million. Cassie wins the lawsuit. The people start to turn on Diddy. The feds have a really good witness in Cassie. She was in there. She saw everything. Hello. It's time to make an arrest. So boom, the feds bust down Diddy's door in a surprise raid and find thousands
Thousands of baby bottles with no Diddy.
of bottles of baby oil. What you think he was using that baby oil for? He was doing some freaky things. Let's just say that. In fact, his events were called freak-offs. The feds said, "Oh boy, we got him now." They said, "Diddy." He said, "Huh?" They said, "Your time has come. You finna get locked up." He said, "Who time? Y'all know how much money I got? What y'all charge?"
Why you think they looking at the freak offs like is this big old nasty grand old disgusting thing? It's not like he was luring them in with a normal party, bro. They knew what they were coming to. Like after the first one, they knew what they were coming to, bro. Like everybody know how my parties get down. Like, come on. They love this nigga Diddy's parties because shit. He used to get active, good, and nobody would tell. He used to get active and nobody would
Me
tell,
with
bro.
being a little freaky?
Whole reason
Now,
they loved it.
this is true. You can't charge Diddy for having freak-offs. But again,
Swear, you can't charge a nigga for being horny. You can't, bro. What? You gonna charge me for my shit getting hard? Nah, you ain't doing that.
feds have been watching him for a very long time. So they've compiled a list of things that would be guaranteed, in their eyes, guaranteed things that would stick. And what I mean by that is the charges you bring up on a person are very important. Let me put it to you like this. Certain things they probably won't get Diddy for is Diddy blowing up Kid Cudi's car. The police say, damn, I really think Diddy did it. But that's going to be hard to prove against Diddy and his team of lawyers. Diddy, Tupac. The feds say, ooh, we think he did it. But
No, he did it, bro. He did it. Suge Knight was in on it too, bro. Don't let them fool you, bro. Long live Pop, bro.
dang, that's going to be hard to prove. Because again, Diddy got that team of lawyers. So they came up with 5 charges. They said, okay, 1, Diddy transported workers of the nighttime across state lines for his freak-offs. Now, this is illegal because paying people to watch Netflix, if you don't know what that means, look in the comments, is illegal in most of the United States. Only select parts you can do this at. Now, since it is legal to pay people to watch Netflix in certain parts of the United States, they needed to make a rule. They said, okay.
You don't know they paying people to watch them fuck. They're cooks. They're cooks. They're not getting no action. They're in the chair. going fucking dumb, bro. They ain't getting no action. They ain't feeling no warmth on their shit, bro. They not, bro. They just, man, are going dumb on that little toy.
You can pay people to watch Netflix here, but if you transport those workers of the nighttime across state lines, then that's illegal. You can't do it in California, so you're breaking the law. So they said Diddy did this 2 times. That's 2 charges, okay? Now let me tell you why it's 2 charges. Listen closely. They're saying we don't exactly know how many times Diddy did it. He could have did it 1,000 times, but we have proof of 2 times he did it because of these next 2 charges. Diddy forced Cassie, his ex-girlfriend, and another ex-girlfriend, who we're gonna call Jane because she didn't want to show her face or her name. He forced these 2 ex-girlfriends to watch Netflix with those workers of the nighttime. The original 2 charges. Does that make sense? So they're saying
wait. Man, this nigga needs to stop saying watch Netflix, bro. Bro, they going over there to fuck. They going over there to fuck something, bro. I'm saying watch Netflix. Nigga could have said eat donuts. Like, come on, bro. You know, eat donuts better than watch Netflix. Come on, bro. I keep blinking my eyes like that. My shit's already dry.
Transported workers of the nighttime twice. He did this so those workers of the nighttime can watch Netflix with his 2 girlfriends. That's 4 charges. And last but not least, the big charge. He did all of this stuff, transporting workers at nighttime, forcing people to do things under his business. And that would mean his business is a criminal organization, a RICO charge. Now, the feds thought this was an open and shut case. The public thinks Diddy did it. They think Diddy did it. They said, this is it. Diddy's team of lawyers said, ugh. They kind of thought it was open and shut too. You could tell they were shaking in their boots a little bit. But Diddy's lawyers had one saving grace, one course of action: reasonable doubt. Now, reasonable doubt is huge in cases like this, basically putting doubts in the jury's head as to if Diddy did these things or not. And you'll see how, huge that is in this case in a moment. Let's start with the first 2 charges. Now, I'm going to combine the 2 charges because they're basically the same thing.
Has Kyrie texted you back?
Shit. I'm low-key intrigued, bro. Intrigued, bro.
Transporting workers of the nighttime across state lines. Again, they said Diddy did this 2 times. Diddy's lawyer said, man, how y'all know that? Prosecutor said, okay, well, here are the texts of Diddy texting those workers of the nighttime saying, come through, I'm finna pay you. I'm having a freak off tonight.
Man, how you know that was Diddy? How you know that was Diddy talking? That's my phone, but shit. So what? So fucking what? I let the homies use my phone. Nigga.
I'm saying, okay, we coming through right now. Also, here are some flight records of Diddy paying for those workers of the nighttime's flights. They even had workers of the...
So what? They was over there going to the same place they was speaking about, bro. I can't help my cousin move the groceries to different countries. Come on, cuz.
Nighttime pull up and say, yeah, Diddy paid me to do this, that, and the third. Diddy's lawyer said, damn, no folk got evidence, ain't it? Yeah, the prosecutors had evidence. They had been working on this case for a very long time. Now, Diddy's lawyers really had to let this one go. This was kind of an open and shut case. They got the records, they got his texts. That's done so. But the thing is about this charge, transporting workers of the nighttime, is it's kinda ish, not a big ish charge. Now I say that because if you're caught transporting workers of the nighttime, you can get up to 10 years in prison. But most of the time you're not gonna get 10 years. In fact, a lot of times you might get 0 years, but that depends on how sentencing goes. So Diddy's lawyer said, let's just focus on the big charges. These next 2. Diddy forced his ex-girlfriend, Jane, and ex-girlfriend Cassie to watch Netflix with people. Now, this is when you start getting to the decades-long jail time. This is when Diddy and his lawyers had a problem. And that problem came in the form of the evidence. Prosecutors came up and said, okay, let's just keep it simple. Here's Jane and here's Cassie. Let's bring them up to the stand. Jane, Cassie, did Diddy force y'all to watch Netflix with people and y'all didn't want to? They said, yeah, Diddy did that. Now, Diddy's lawyer's only course of action was to question what is force or what is not. They went back to the oldest trick in the book. Basically, the reason why women don't come out and report cases like this. Diddy's lawyer simply said,
You know what, bro? I was gonna say shit, but no, I am, bro. I ain't holding my tongue. Why the fuck they put so much emphasis on his ass and not her ass? Why did they think it needed, like, he had to have so much rump in his trunk and she had to have no dump in her trunk? Like, what's going on, bro? Who be drawing this shit, bro? It gotta be a woman. Has to be a woman, bro. Like, and I mean that with no disrespect. But like she cutting out all down here. She's over here making his ass look big and like and bro, what's the word I'm looking for, kid? Yeah, no pause though. Rewind, no pause. You see it. Not lying, no pause. But man, she shaded his ass better than she shaded her ass. Good. I'm mad about it, bro. Her hand red, his whole pants is even better than her hand, bro. It's very drama.
or what is not. They went back to the oldest trick in the book. Basically, the reason why women don't come out and report cases like this. Diddy's lawyers simply said, we don't believe you. They said, isn't Diddy your boyfriend? Now, they're saying this to both Jane and Cassie on separate occasions. They went on the stand at separate times, but they pretty much said the same thing, so I'm going to kind of combine them. They said, wasn't Diddy your boyfriend and you loved him? How could he force you to do anything? They said, well, we loved him. At first, it wasn't forced, and then things turned to force. Diddy's lawyers come out with the, why didn't you leave? Now, before all this happened, at the beginning of the case,
that's modern day. If the glove didn't fit, you must have quit.
a psychologist or some sort of scientist person came on the stand and had to explain to the entire court why people don't leave in cases like this. Stockholm syndrome, thinking that things will get better, fearing for their lives. Explained this to the entire court. Diddy's lawyer said, man, screw all that. Why didn't you leave? The prosecutor said, ain't you heard what that psychologist science person said at the beginning? But remember, Diddy's lawyer, their whole game is to sprinkle in some doubt. Maybe some people on the jury are going to ask the same question. Why didn't you leave? Maybe one person, two person. That's enough for Diddy's lawyers. So they just throw that one in. Take a step back. Then they come back in, say, hey, didn't Diddy pay for like all your houses and stuff like that? Like, did y'all just want to stay for the money? Prosecutors, Jane, Cassie say, no, that was absolutely not the case. Diddy's lawyer said, look, hey, you ain't got to convince me. Diddy's lawyer take a step back. They say, you good. They look at the jury.
It's $300. 3,000 Totino's Pizza.
Look at the jury. You good. You good. You good. You ain't using that man for no money. You good. You see how I was trying to drag it out through the ad, bro? Shit ain't work. You should be scamming with these little two ads, bro. And this shit don't even work no more. That shit don't even work no more. That's just gonna take me to the ad, bro.
Confident. It seemed like they had faith in the jury. Basically saying, man, the jury not gonna fall for that. So let's bring in our next witness. And it's at this point they bring in a lot of witnesses to corroborate, if that's how you say it, Jane and Cassie's stories. Now, these next witnesses that the prosecutor brings out is basically proof that Cassie and Jane were not able to leave. Cassie's mom comes out and says, yeah, Diddy texted me a few times saying that he's going to leak out my daughter's pictures if she leaves. A security guard comes out and says, yeah, I saw Diddy put his hands on Cassie.
They drew that nigga stomping her out with a purse like a fucking pimp in GTA, bro. A pimp in GTA. They did that drawing wrong, bro. Diddy did her wrong, but they did that drawing wrong.
Diddy paid me to keep it quiet. Prosecutor said, that's a great segue. Boom. Prosecutors bring out the video of Diddy putting his hands on Cassie. Now, Diddy's lawyers start freaking out. They did not want this video to come to trial because this is a very bad look for Diddy. If you're on the jury, you might start looking at him crazy like, damn, Why should I believe anything this guy says? Prosecutors go, well, there you have it. She was trying to leave. You see it in the video. She can't leave. The security guard himself, what you say again, big bro? Security guard said, yeah, I saw her trying to leave and then Diddy stopping her. In fact, I saw something else. Security guard get to talking. He said, Diddy dragged her back to the room. I went back to the room and I saw a worker of the nighttime sitting there. Prosecutor said, what? Look at that. It seems like she was trying to leave from a worker of the nighttime. Diddy drags her back in that room. What y'all think was happening in that room? Diddy's lawyers literally say, I don't know. Some doubt. Remember that. They said, jury, really think about that question. Do y'all know what happens in that room? And before you say anything, ask yourself, you Raven Simone? And so you don't know what was happening in that room.
We know what's happening in that room, bro. They get her fucked. No lube. Dry boning. Dry boning. Yeah. It's like sticking your shit in a Pringles can with mushed up Pringles.
That worker of the nighttime could have just been there posted, chilling. Who knows? Their argument was Diddy just be getting mad sometimes. Diddy a cool guy, but sometimes he be getting mad. They said, look, why didn't the prosecution bring the charges of domestic violence against Diddy? That would have stuck. But y'all saying he forces people to watch Netflix with people is crazy. That was the defense's argument. Now, they are correct in the fact that a domestic violence charge would have stuck. But remember, the feds and the prosecution really strategically worked out this case. Domestic violence, that's going to get you probably probation, maybe a year at most. That's not worth bringing up against Diddy. They could charge him for that for sure. They would probably win. Diddy's putting his hands on somebody on video, but they're like, is it worth all?
Not probably, bro. They gonna win that. Obviously, they are, bro. If it's a jury decision, they're winning, bro. Judge a decision, no, that's a gamble. But man, bro.
Of this, is it worth him getting 3 months in prison? Probably not. So Diddy's lawyers saying, look, y'all could have proved that. Y'all should have done that. Y'all are going for this thing that y'all can't really prove for real. Prosecutors thinking, nah, we proved it. They're looking at the jury going. Now on to the final charge, the big one. Now, the first two charges we had was Diddy transporting workers of the nighttime. I call that easy mode. That's kind of an easy one to prove, right? They got the text, they got the flight record, sure. The next two charges are Diddy forcing Cassie and Jane to watch Netflix. I call that medium difficulty. They got a lot of evidence, but people's opinions really come into play with those middle charges. This last charge, I call it hard mode. Proving Diddy's business is a criminal organization. That's a little bit tougher to prove, but that also carries the biggest sentence. Basically, if you win this one, that's it. 30 years to life, it's all over. So now you could probably see the structure of the case. Prosecutors did it like this on purpose. They want the big charge, Diddy using his business as a criminal organization.
They did that shit flawlessly.
But just in case they don't win that, they have all these other charges that will, still give Diddy a couple decades. Now, a big thing Diddy did, allegedly, is something you see a lot of celebrities do. Use their bodyguards as a strike force. Your bodyguard's job is to guard your body, not put hands on people just because you want them to put hands on people. Now, Diddy took things to a whole nother level. His bodyguards would basically get everything done for him as intimidation. A huge witness in this case was a personal assistant of Diddy, a longtime personal assistant.
That's his fucking bodyguards. Look, which if you gonna kill, bitch, if you gonna kill for me, better be able to go on this drill for me, nigga. Like, what you talking about?
Listen, there was some jewelry stolen in Diddy's house, so Diddy brought her to a hotel, forced her to stay there for days, allegedly, and had her take a lie detector test. Now, a while back, she sues
Allegedly.
Diddy for this.
That happened in South Park, the fish sticks. JB's roll clip.
And she wins. Guarding the door was a bodyguard, so she couldn't just leave. So this is what prosecutors are saying is using your business as a criminal organization. That guy is supposed to be guarding your body. He's not supposed to be holding someone hostage. Prosecutors also bring up the time Kid Cudi got his car blown up by Diddy, allegedly. Just pretend I'm...
How the fuck did Diddy blow up Kid Cudi's car and not get caught? That is arson, and isn't it like making homemade bombs or some shit? Like, hell, what the fuck?
Thing allegedly in front of everything. So they say, look, there go Kid Cudi right there. They bring him to the stand. Kid Cudi said, yeah, that man blew up my car. Diddy's lawyer said, says who? Kid Cudi.
Nigga looked at him and said, yeah, that nigga Diddy crazy. Walked out. You know how Cudi is.
He said, look, I got a call from Diddy one day saying he was finna come to the crib. At the time, I was seeing Cassie. Cassie and Diddy broke up, so I thought it was cool. So Diddy again said, look, I'm finna come through Kid Cudi and we finna talk about it. I then get a call from Diddy's longtime personal assistant. You remember the one that was trapped in the hotel? She comes on the stand. She said, yeah, I called Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi said, look, she told me, broski, don't let Diddy come to the crib. He finna do some bitches. He finna violate. I said, oh no, them folks bugging. I heard about Diddy, but I'm with it. So I called Cassie. She said, yeah, Diddy finna violate. He found out about us. He finna violate. I said, he ain't know about us? Cassie said, just lock your door. Now, Kid Cudi wasn't in the crib at this time. He goes to his house and he sees things out of place. His dog is locked in the bathroom. Things just seem out of place. He goes outside. Lo and behold, his car is on fire. Diddy's lawyers.
This is why I stopped shopping with major online retailers and...
Yo, and that nigga Diddy's old, bro. He's freed from jail, bro. He's going to have so many fucking stories, bro. The actual documentary of Diddy is going to be so fucking tough to watch, bro. Like, because we gonna be sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, this nigga dead ass crazy, bro.
In that reasonable doubt. They said, oh, did you see Diddy blow your car up? Kid Cudi said, no, but I seen Diddy outside the gate chilling, staring at me with his weird little face, and he had a bodyguard with him. Diddy's lawyer said, first of all, Diddy face not weird. Shout out my dog, Diddy. Second of all, maybe Diddy was going for a walk. Maybe he was going on a stroll. If you ain't seen him do it, I don't know. Prosecutor said, ain't this about it? And this is why prosecutors didn't charge Diddy for blowing up Kid Cudi's car. They knew what was going to happen. Reasonable doubt. If you didn't see Diddy do it, if you didn't have the cameras in, I don't know. He could have been standing right next to your car. Who's to say he did it? But prosecutors weren't worried about this. They just wanted the jury to hear a little bit more about Diddy. Basically a come up with your own conclusion type thing. You saw a bodyguard over there. He's not using his bodyguards to guard his body. He's using his bodyguards to do these criminal activities. But the RICO charge was much more than that. It's using his funds for his business to buy that stuff, to overall just buy illegal things. Now, again, this charge is hard mode. There isn't concrete evidence, but there's like, come up with your own conclusions type evidence. Medium mode, forcing Cassie and Jane to watch Netflix with people. They had a lot more evidence surrounding that. They had the security guard. They had video footage of Cassie not being able to escape Diddy. Okay, if I had to guess, I would have thought guilty at least on forcing Cassie to watch Netflix. And then you have the easy mode charge, transporting workers of the nighttime across state lines. They got his flight records, all that. Now, another important point I want to mention in this trial is Diddy did not testify, which is actually huge. Basically, all of these people were saying stuff about him and he never defended himself. Now, this is because Diddy's lawyers knew there was no defending himself. First of all, Diddy's a loose cannon. They don't know what bro's gonna say on the stand. He could say one idiotic thing and get himself locked up for life. Two, there is no good outcome for him if he sits on the stand.
Nigga just like Kanye, bro. That nigga's just like Kanye, bro. That nigga Diddy's just like Kanye. He just has more sense. First
question a prosecutor's gonna ask him is, why you got baby oil in your house? Diddy's gonna say something crazy. It would be easy for the prosecution to make him.
You don't know what Diddy's gonna say. You see, I got baby oil in my house because I like to get frisky. I'm a man. I'm a man with needs. I'm a man with needs, Shonda. And my needs need to be pleased. It's kind of shit he gonna say. They don't let him understand. You gonna fuck it up for everybody. Whole operation is gonna be a bust.
Look bad. They say, Diddy, why you call them freak offs anyway? Diddy be like, cause I get freaky. Jail. So Diddy's lawyer said, oh no, he not going up there. We rather it be a bad look, Diddy just not defending himself, than him to get up there and make himself look worse. Anyway, here's where things start to get wicked. Before the jury goes to the back to deliberate, to discuss the charges, guilty, not guilty, all that, the prosecutor tells them, listen, if Diddy forced Jane and Cassie to watch Netflix one time, then that's guilty. There could have been 75 times of Cassie and Jane going to freak offs, chilling with Diddy, but one time they say no, and Diddy forces them to do it, that is guilty. The judge said, yes. Remember that, y'all. 1,000 times, that 1,001st time Diddy forces them, guilty. The jury says, okay, got it. The jury goes to the back. First two.
So everybody got it clear. It's not illegal to be a horny nigga. Everybody got it clear. It's not illegal to be the freak. You hear me? It's not illegal. Free Diddy.
Two charges, transporting workers to the nighttime. They said, okay, guilty. That's an easy one. Next two charges, forcing Cassie and Jane to watch Netflix with people. They have a little harder time deliberating, but the jury said not guilty. They didn't feel like they were convinced, because in the American court of law, it's not guilty and innocent, it's guilty, not guilty. Basically, prove it to me that this person did it. That's the prosecution's job. The defense's job is to poke holes in the prosecution's story. It seems like enough holes were poked for the jury. They said not guilty. Now,
offense and defense, just with judges. That's what it is. I mean, just with the law.
it's the final charge that seemed to give the jury the most trouble. Diddy using his business as a criminal organization. They were asking, what do you mean by that? Criminal organization. There was no one else on the stand to say, yeah, I worked for Diddy. It's a criminal organization. It seems their main confusion was, did Diddy do all of these things on his own, or was he a part of some criminal organization? They said, we think he did it, but we don't know what you mean by criminal organization. So they asked the judge. The judge explains it to them. They go back, and then they have a very hard debate. Some jury members said, okay, criminal organization, he did it. Other jury members were saying, no way. Maybe he did it, but not a criminal organization. Others saying, free Diddy, he innocent. So they're in this deadlock state. So they have to go back to the judge and say, we can't convince each other. That's it. So this is a hung jury, meaning they cannot come to a conclusion. Everybody has to agree on the outcome. But the judge tells them, go back and figure it out. The jury goes back and they figure it out. They say, fine, not guilty. Now, it is important to note that the end of this trial was coming close to 4th of July weekend. It's important to note because many people speculate that the jury wanted to get things over with before 4th.
That you just didn't do it.